everybody, my name is Benjamin Blue and we have movement in Cardiff. It is 1-0 out and 1-0 in. It happened middle of this week. Neil Warnock leaves Cardiff and his replacement will be Neil Harris. I'm feeling reasonably smug because I speculated about this in the video when Warnock left, and it has come to pass that former Millwall manager Neil Harris has taken over to replace Neil Warnock. I think this is a very, very good fit, and I think it's going to go quite well. To talk about Neil Harris a little bit first, obviously Millwall legend, top scorer there, took over the team down in League One. Mad charge. Up they go into the playoffs and up they go into the Championship. And not just to make up the numbers, because in 17-18 Millwall were absolutely brilliant and had a right tear, nearly making the playoffs. I went to a game at the Den where they played Fulham and they went under. Fulham went on and got promoted then. And I still look back at that game and think, what if they'd won that game? I remember, I think Cooper hit the bar after about 5 minutes as well. And you wonder how things might have been different had that goal gone in. Really, really good team. And this is the important bit now, is the brand of football they played was 4-4-2. It was direct, up and at them, high tempo. You had Steve Morrison and Lee Gregory. Very good on the throw-ins, very good on the set plays. Good defensively as well. And I think that's going to be very important when we talk about what Neil Harris is going to go and take over at Cardiff. So, to continue the story for Millwall, they lose George Saville from that team. There's a bit of a drop-off. I think Steve Morrison getting on in years and his legs going and him having less influence on the pitch made a difference. And just a kind of natural drop-off the following season. Harris retools this summer. In comes Matt Smith, John Daddy Bodvarsson as well. Mollenby on loan from Brighton. Mahoney down the wing. Białkowski on loan from Ipswich in goal. So he tries to retool and do it all over again. But perhaps the toothpaste is out of the tube. The genie is out of the bottle. And it doesn't quite work. I was at Millwall versus Luton, where it seemed to have run its course between the Millwall fans and Neil Harris. And the sense was that let's get this done now before Harris tarnishes his legacy, well, as a club legend. So Harris leaves Millwall in the last international break. In the meantime, Cardiff have been struggling under Neil Warnock. Obviously, second-tier legend Neil Warnock, who has been promoted too many times to count and taken teams out of this division as well in a very unfancied way. In fact, if we go back to that season 2017-18, where Millwall were having a great season under Neil Harris, Cardiff were having an even better season because they finished second behind that brilliant Wolves team and pipped that very, very good Fulham team with a similarly direct style. Again, very, very good on throw-ins and corners. The team built around really the throw-ins of Gunnarsson and the aerial threat from Sean Morrison and Sol Bamba. But one thing Neil Warnock was always very, very good at was providing a solid base for players like Junior Hoylett then and Nathaniel Mendez-Lang to then go ahead and express themselves. But remember, there was always Big Zahor, Big Medina up front, who would never get 20 goals in a season, but always punch holes there. Cardiff come down, and it hasn't really worked since. Maybe not quite there in the transfer market. Glatzel hasn't really got that many goals. He's tried the boy White, who he got from Oxford. Has Murphy contributed enough? He ends up seemingly going back to Hoylett and to Mendez-Lang every time, and players like Joe Rules bailing him out in the central midfield. Bakuna, I think, has done well, and Pack has arrived in central midfield as well. But it just hasn't happened. Cardiff, 14th in the league, and Warnock has gone out. So the reason I think this is going to be a good fit is because, obviously being an Ipswich fan, I've seen what happens if you have a set of players who have been built around a certain set of principles. I'm talking about Mick McCarthy transitioning over to Paul Hurst and it being an utter disaster, where you have players who are instructed to play in one way. If you then completely flip that on its head, it's a bad idea. What you need is somebody who can access those skills from those players, but maybe just tweak it in a different direction. I feel Millwall have done a fairly sensible thing in taking Gary Rowett, who can take the defensive qualities that Harris had there at Millwall and maybe sprinkle a few different things there. So Harris to Cardiff, I'm looking at the 2017-18 Millwall team and I'm thinking Cardiff need a bit of pep, a bit of energy, but they still need to play direct. They're not going to, play through a playmaker and split their centre halves and all of that good stuff that we see from, say, teams like Brentford or even someone like QPR. You see trying to do it and scoring a lot and conceding a lot. I feel that would be a disaster. So I think this is a good hire all round, really, because when you looked at Harris, you thought, where is he going to go next? Is he going to get another championship job? Well, the best championship job you can get is one with parachute payments because it gives you a massive advantage. Cardiff are going to get 2 years of parachute payments because they're only up in the Premier League for one season. But I think Harris has fallen on his feet in terms of size of club and in terms of what he's taken over, where Warnock has a well-drilled defence. He has players that Harris probably would have liked to have at Millwall. And can he add the energy that Cardiff don't seem to have had since they came down from the Premier League this season? If all works out like that, it's going to work out very nicely for Harris, who, as I'm saying this, I think it's basically as good as it could get for Harris coming back in. Championship job with money at a bigger club than he was at before. And I'm saying bigger club advisedly, that's no offence to Millwall, but when you have parachute money and that nice stadium, you would have to say it's a good opportunity for Neil Harris to, go on and go forth with his managerial career. The question that comes up is, was Harris just perfect at Millwall? Did he know the culture, having been there for so long? And that made it work at Millwall, and not having that kind of synergy with a club, will that make him struggle? Will that be an issue? I don't know. If he can forge a team in the way that 17-18 Millwall team was, then I think he's going to do just fine. I think if you go back to the 4-4-2 formation and you kind of look at people like Hoylett and Mendes-Lang and Murphy and White, the options down the sides. Warnock have been struggling to configure his front four if he goes for a front two, and he's got Danny Ward there, who's come out of nowhere and started scoring some goals, and Glatzel. Maybe Tomlin can actually go up top rather than in the number 10 position. And look, he's certainly going to love working with the big defenders. I think Bamber is coming back, but you've already got Aidan Flint and Sean Morrison there, and we know what a good player Harris made Jake Cooper. Although here we go for the first most obvious transfer rumour of January, Jake Cooper to Cardiff. Well, yeah, we'll see what happens with that one. So look, I think this could all work out very nicely with if things work out that way and you get the maximum upside. I think it's a good hire. I think it's a good hire for Harris. I don't think he could have got much better an opportunity than he has, and so quickly after leaving Millwall. And I think what Cardiff need is a bit of energy, a little bit of sorting out, and a manager who can work in a way that suits the players they've already got. And I think this is it. And obviously, championship experience. I'm suspecting we might get a few Cardiff fans say, oh, I'm not sure, we could have done with someone whose CV went higher than 8th or 9th in the Championship, where Harris has peaked really in his career. But I don't necessarily see it that way, but I do accept that opinion. So we'll see what we get. Let me know in the comments. Are you a Cardiff fan? Are you happy with the hire? Do you see it working out well like I do? I'm prepared to be wrong about this. Millwall fans, how do you see this one panning out? Cardiff currently 14th in the table, but on a year one parachute payment, surely they're going to be able to surge up. Let me know what you think in the comments. Hit subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. Follow me on Twitter at Benjamin Bloom. Very, very interested to see how this one pans out. You can also support me on patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom to give monetarily to my pursuits as a football pundit. Most importantly though, whatever you do, and if you do none of those things, please get involved in the comments and let me know how you think this hire of Neil Harris to Cardiff is going to pan out. Thank you for watching. Over and out.